Good Monday morning, everybody. It is time for another episode of Chop Talk from your buddy Chopadong. That's right, that's me out on Twitter. You find me at Chopadong. And sponsored by DFSArmy.com, your one-stop shop for everything DFS related, from NBA to PGA to MLB to NFL to all of it, NASCAR, MMA. We've got it covered. It doesn't matter what sport you play. We have the content, tools, and coaching to make you a better player, and the dedicated team to explain the tools. There are a couple of membership options, a tools-only option, a VIP option. I don't know why you would do the tools-only, because you don't get any of the explanation how to use the tools. But people are doing it. Great. Good for you. Save a few bucks. I think it'd be crazy not to spend the extra 10 bucks, come inside, get the coaching, and at least ask the questions to people like me and others. How do I use these tools most effectively? What am I learning when I'm looking at these things? Anyway, you will find all of that stuff down there in the comments section. DFSArmy.com. Use coupon code CHOP, C-H-O-P. Trigger that 10% off savings. And get in here today and start becoming a better player. Let me show you what we're going to talk about today. As far as Monday, week 7's wrapping up in NFL. Week 8 starting off. We've got NFL, NBA, ML, whatever, NHL content coming. We're going to quickly walk through all of it, but I want to show you a little bit of something first before we jump in. How many of you do this? How many of you guys dig in to your fantasy scores, your season-long fantasy leagues, and tally up the points? This tells me who we should have been playing all year long and who we maybe should be playing that we might be missing in daily fantasy sports. I go here, I'm in a Yahoo league, a lot of people are. I go down to the player list in my league, and I start calling. This is where we go for the waiver wire, isn't it? You look for, targets, touchdowns, receptions, all this kind of jazz. You're trying to figure out who's got. I look pretty much at fantasy points. I want to know who's scoring the points. And if I started right now, say at quarterback, all players, not all available players, all players. I don't care who's on my team and who's on my other team, my other friends' teams and whatever else. I'm going to show them all. And I want to see, sometimes I'll look through here, okay, who's the highest free agent on the list? Because my guy got hurt. Joe Flacco, Blake Bortles. I'll start making decisions down here. Sometimes I will look at who's actually doing the scoring. Now, Patrick Mahomes. Does it surprise anybody he's blowing the league away right now? I mean, it surprised us back in week 1. It probably isn't surprising us now. But the guy has about a 40-point lead over the next closest guy. That's pretty crazy. If you got lucky enough to draft him in about the 10th or 12th round, Andrew Luck, same thing, virtually undrafted. Phillip Rivers, always virtually undrafted. Those are your top 3 quarterbacks in the league this year. Number 1, kind of a crazy year, but is it really? Isn't there always some goofy stuff like that happens in fantasy football? And if it catches you, you win your league, and if it doesn't, how do you get good at finding these things? How do you determine which one? Okay, so here's where you're going to get the rule: wait for quarterback. Wait to draft. If you are a moron and you draft Tom Brady number 1 overall in our league, or Aaron Rodgers second when everyone else is drafting running backs, you're dumb. Let me explain to you why. Patrick Mahomes, Andrew Luck, and Phillip Rivers. They were all there when everybody else was drafting defenses and kickers. Why did you have to reach for, Cam Newton? Why did you have to reach for, Matt Ryan was probably in a late round. Kirk Cousins might have gone somewhere in the middle. Tom Brady probably went fairly early, and he got you the quarterback 6. Woohoo! Way to spend up, pal. Good job. Jared Goff was available in the late rounds. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the top 7, probably for sure, that were in the late rounds that were there for you. Instead, you wasted your time with Tom Brady, who is okay. He's an okay quarterback. But compared to what you could have landed instead, you wasted your pick. Kirk Cousins, you probably wasted your pick. Drew Brees, you probably wasted your pick. Cam Newton, you probably wasted your pick. I'm an idiot. Cam was sitting out there in the 6th or 7th round. I always wait for quarterbacks, but I didn't this year. I took Cam in the 5th or 6th round because he was there, and I had a bunch of running backs, a couple of receivers, and thought Cam can win me my league. He has that kind of upside. He's there. I don't want to drop off and be forced to play Andrew Luck, Matt Ryan, Phillip Rivers. Look at what a dumbass I was. We're all dumbasses. But the fact of the matter remains, wait for your quarterback. Very rarely does it burn you. Waiting for quarterback in season-long fantasy is like employing the Thursday fade in daily fantasy sports. It rarely hurts you. Oftentimes it helps. Let's do something different. Let's look at these flex positions. Gurley, Thielen, number 2 overall score. Now, this is a full point PPR, no bonuses and whatever else. A little bit different. Every league's a little bit different scoring. So some of these guys may jostle around a little bit, but generally speaking, these are going to be your top guys too. Gurley, 30 points clear of the field. Thielen, number 2, better than all the other running backs. Gordon would have been probably, but he was hurt. Give him 20 points. He's at 182, over here. Again, I'm not looking at any of this junk over here yet. I'm only looking at results. Bottom line, pay me. Melvin Gordon, Alvin Kamara fell off. 6 and 15. Did all his work early. Ingram comes back, fell off a cliff, which we saw happening. How consistent has Saquon Barkley been? All 20s and a 40. And I don't know what he's going to do tonight. Tyreek Hill, there's another receiver with a lot of upside. Kareem Hunt coming out of nowhere. This is a clue. Start watching for him in DFS. He's probably underpriced right now. When you see guys like these, okay, Todd Gurley should be 10K. Adam Thielen should probably be taken over Saquon Barkley, Kareem Hunt, James White, James Conner, all these types. Julio Jones, where the hell is that guy? Nowhere. Overrated. Overrated. I mean, freaking for real. He's costing you $8,000, $9,000. Thielen's way better. Hell, Tyreek Hill is better. And about 5 or 6 running backs are better. Those should be on your rosters first. If you're going to spend that kind of money. Yeah, I know. He can score 200, go 200 and some odd yards and score 2 touchdowns. So can Todd Gurley. So why are you spending all your stupid money on Julio Jones when he doesn't get used in the red zone and he hasn't been in an end zone, since like 1996? Come on. Get smarter. Melvin Gordon, Alvin Kamara, Saquon Barkley, Tyreek Hill, James. Kareem Hunt and James White. Kareem Hunt was drafted high. He's finally coming into the mix. James White? Where'd that dude come from? That was a lucky pick of mine. No doubt. Drafted him like my 4th running back. And who would have thought Emmanuel Sanders would be this high? Number 3 wide receiver on the year so far? James Conner, DeAndre Hopkins. These are names that are up there. Conner was undrafted. He's down there with Latavius Murray. Was a handcuff that nobody took until like the 10th round. Michael Thomas should have been a lot higher. A.J. Green should probably be higher. Robert Woods we kind of knew about, maybe. Antonio Brown should be way up there. Add another 20 for him. He's up in the 140s. So Antonio is not really having blow-up weeks, but he's fine. Stephon Diggs and Adam Thielen, 1-2 punch out of Minnesota. Yeldon, there's Julio, way down the list with Tyler Boyd, who you can find for $2,000 cheaper. Realize, Julio Jones, and I'm picking on Julio, but Julio, 11, 14, 11. That's his floor. He's willing to test that 12-point floor. He hasn't had the big 30-plus point week yet. He'll probably give you 1 or 2 this year, but it's getting to be a little too late because you're probably 2 and 4 in your fantasy leagues or 2 and 5. Tyler Boyd, a little bit lower floor, but look, he's tested the 20s more. You get the same damn price. Same guy. These are basically the same guy right now. And they're not much better than Travis Kelce. And Juju Schuster's down in there. Give Juju another 15 points, and guess what? He gets up into the 130s, and he's running away from Julio. And he's cheaper. Well, Juju's up there. But do you see where I'm going with this? So let's break this down even a little bit further, and let's go running backs. Running back, and let's see who the top running backs are. And let's say 206, 160. Let's go down to there's a good break point, 140. How many running backs are over 100 points? Okay, this is where this gets interesting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 running backs over 100 points. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 over 140 points. Okay, let's compare. Go to the wide receiver. How many wide receivers over 100 points? Oh my. Oh my. Oh my. Oh my. Wait, let me click the porn window off. That was a little too oh my-ish. What do we got? About 22. This is 25 people. 25, 24, 23, 22. 22 wide receivers over 100 fantasy points on the season versus 11 running backs. Positional scarcity. You go hog up those running backs and don't stop at 2. Go get 3. Go get 4. Go get 5. Hog them. The more you take past that second one, the more damage you do to your opponents in your season-long scoring leagues. Why? You can always come back later and grab these turds. Look at this. Look at who they are. Emmanuel Sanders was probably out there after you had 3 running backs. Maybe not Hill, maybe not Thielen, maybe not Hopkins. Devontae Adams probably not. Thomas probably not. A.J. Green definitely not. Robert Woods maybe. Antonio Brown's no. Diggs no. Julio no. Evans no. Boyd yes. Schuster yes. Beckham no. John Brown yes. Cooper Kupp yes. Golden Tate probably. Jarvis Landry maybe not. Brandon Cooks yes. Deshaun Jackson yes. Keenan Allen no. Albert Wilson definitely. Calvin Ridley, definitely. Kenny Golladay, probably. So of the top 25, all of these guys, what, 10 of them were still out there after you went hogging up all the running backs. How many of these guys? We had 7 running backs over 140 points. How many wide receivers are over 140 points? 3. 3. So I could have had all of those running backs and had a better shot. Look, I've got, in my personal fantasy league, I've got nobody in this top 10. I come all the way down here to John Brown and Cooper Kupp are my numbers 1 and 2. I drafted Doug Baldwin. Where's he been? He's hurt. He's been hurt. Thought I had a high floor guy that was smart at the time, but the results tell me, I could have had these guys. I could have had a few of these others. But look what I did with the running backs. And I'll explain to you why. I've got 2 in the top 7. I've got 2 guys over 140. James White, Saquon Barkley. Really, James White. Why? Because I kept drafting running backs. I drafted Dalvin Cook and Alex Collins as my 2nd and 3rd running backs. And boy, am I glad I didn't stop there. Running backs get hurt. But the value of the running back, 7 of the 11 over 100 points. 7 of them are over 140. Only 3 of the 22 wide receivers that are over 100 points, only 3 of the 22 are over 140. I want the high floor. I want the consistent scoring. I want the guys that are just pounding in the points week in and week out, and it's running backs. Almost always has been, almost always will be. The wide receivers are a dime a dozen. Quarterbacks are going to score a crap load. We saw the randomness that goes on at quarterback. When your position is really, really deep in its scoring, you can afford to pay down in DFS. When your position is really, really deep in its scoring, you can afford to wait in your season-long drafts. When the position is very, very scarce, get your ass up there and start pounding the top of that league over and over and over again. I didn't draft number 1. I didn't get Gurley. I didn't draft number 2. I didn't get, Kamara or Le'Veon Bell, thank God, or, whoever else was up there. Ezekiel Elliott was up in there. I didn't get those guys. Didn't have an option at them. Could have picked them. Could have picked wrong. Whatevs. I had the back end of the first round, as I usually do, and I love it because I get 2 of them real quick. Wham, wham. Saquon and then Dalvin Cook. 1 was a disappointment. It's going to happen. But then I came right back in the 3rd round. Wham, Alex Collins. Came back in the 4th round. Doug Baldwin. Came back in the 5th round. That might be where I took Cam. Came back in the 6th round. Wham, James White. Wham, Chris Carson in about the 8th. I wanted depth and I wanted feature backs. Why? Because I understand what hopefully you guys are starting to understand is I need 2 or 3 running backs in this category right here. If I've got that, my floor is so high in my fantasy leagues, you are going to have a hell of a hard time beating me. And that's what I try. The same philosophy I teach my VIPs in the DFS Army is I'm trying to coach you guys up into paying for floor. Build a strong floor. Why? In your head-to-heads, your cash games, your 50-50s, you're hella hard to beat. Hella hard to beat. Week in, week out. With the randomness of football, you're a tough out. And that's what you need to be first to preserve your bankroll. And then from there, you start working on some ceiling. Take a few upside plays while your floor is already locked in. And now if your ceiling plays hit, you run the week. That's when you sweep ladders. If you don't know what a ladder is, you need to be a VIP inside DFS Army. That's what you need to know, is these types of contest selection, contest layering, how to build a lineup that's going to make you a tough out and then is going to propel you to the tops of the leaderboards. That's what we teach our VIPs. Let's move on from that little lesson there, since that was a 10-minute rant. Let's dive into hockey really quickly today, and then we'll wrap up with a little bit of NBA. And it'll be a trifecta today. We'll hit all three big sports. When I'm looking at hockey today, I'm noticing 6 on the over-unders, right? Leaning to the over. I'm looking at a minus 120, a minus 140, a minus 160, a minus 1. I don't have an overwhelming goalie today. I'm going to have to do some research and some digging. I know Carolina's favored on the road. I don't typically like that. Playing to the under, that's not terrible. Playing to the under in St. Louis and Winnipeg at home, Hellebuck might be the goalie of choice today, and he's a little inconsistent. Probably not a cash-safe goalie most times. Washington on the road would be Holtby? Not so sure. Nothing overwhelmingly leaning towards overs and unders, though. A little bit of slight leanings here. Nothing big in these games. These are all pretty fairly balanced, fairly, almost pick-em type games. They're all hitting at a 6. So tonight feels initially like it could be pretty wide open. Now I'm going to look at what do I know on like left wing lock, daily face-off and stuff. Start digging through numbers. I've only got 4 games to process today. Won't take too long. Again, I'm looking for a floor if there is such a thing in hockey. And I'm trying to build a team that's a tough out. The most consistent points I'm going to score in DFS or in NFL are like quarterback and running back. In hockey, it's your goalie. And you can afford to spend up at goalie to buy bigger points, to lock in those points and make your floor higher, make your night a little tougher to, for you to get beat. Make it a little bit harder. So then I'm going to start looking for offenses. And I know Philadelphia gives up goals. Colorado might be in a good spot. I don't know if Colorado's given up goals yet. I have to double check that. I'll go to left wing lock. I'll pull up team stats and I'll see who's given up goals and who's scoring goals. And I'll start comparing. I want to find a team that's scoring goals going up against a team that's given them up. Colorado is scoring goals at top line. Philadelphia is giving them up. So initially, I'm going to want to look at Colorado. Carolina is scoring goals. Detroit is definitely giving them up. Definitely giving them up. So that's what I need to be looking at, is I need to be looking at Carolina. So Colorado, Carolina, probably on the tip of my tongue today. St. Louis has been giving them up. St. Louis played a little tougher lately. So Winnipeg, maybe, maybe not. Washington, always in play, but Vancouver's pretty tough defensively at home. Neat contrarian play on a 4-game slate. I don't go too contrarian on those 10-game slates because there's so many good spots and ownership gets so spread out that it doesn't matter so much. I can just pick from the best of the best. But on these smaller slates, I'll stack against the chalk, and I will go contrarian because in a volatile game like hockey, it hits more often than it does in other sports like basketball. So I'm going to end up taking some Vancouver against Washington tonight in some single entry tournaments. Because why? Because honestly, it could happen. And I can make a lot of cases for that. So that's initially what I'm looking at in hockey. I'm looking at going to find a consistent goalie. Going to probably target Colorado, probably definitely target Carolina, probably look at Winnipeg maybe. I probably won't play a lot of Washington, although they're in play, and I'll probably look in tournaments to stack Vancouver against Washington and hope I get lucky and catch a contrarian night. And if I do, then I use that leverage against what could be a chalky Washington team to go right up the leaderboards and pass everybody, because not only are you failing, I'm damaging you as I go. Okay, again, things we teach our VIPs. Go to NBA. We want to see, look, there's a whole lot of blue on the board, a whole lot of 220s. But what we want to see is we want to maybe focus on teams like, well, Golden State. Golden State's on a back-to-back. That's interesting. I know Phoenix isn't typically very good defensively. I haven't looked too deep into it. This is mostly just what I hear and what I'm trying to communicate to you. Because again, the same type of situation happens in football, hockey, basketball, doesn't matter. We want to stick with the higher implied total teams as much as we can within reason. You may or may not put a little bit of a lid on Golden State because they played back-to-back. You probably won't because they're the highest implied team total on the night And it's probably dumb to fade them at any given point in time, unless maybe they're on 3 games in 4 nights traveling up into the altitude in Denver. You know, something like that. Maybe you'd get off of them a little bit because maybe they'd be a little overpriced. Milwaukee, I'm going to key on these top probably 3 or 4 teams and try and take the players out of there that I know. Now, I've been out of basketball for a couple of years. I'm not the authority on basketball. I can still play the damn game, though. I still know where to go and what to do. It just takes me longer to do my research. I haven't played for a couple of years. I don't know the rosters anymore. I don't know who's out where outside of, the big names in Golden State because, I'm a chalk donkey and, I watch ESPN like everybody else and I see those same guys on the highlights all the time. But, I don't know a lot about the leagues what I'm trying to get across, but I still know where to look. I'm looking at Golden State, Milwaukee, Toronto, and Portland. Now, this is where GPP guys have an advantage over me because they may look down here and go, ooh, but Charlotte's in a really good spot tonight. I don't know. If Charlotte was in a really good spot tonight, they'd be implied to score over 106 points. I'm not saying they're in a bad spot. I'm just saying, don't know. Focus up here in your cash games. Likely scenario is you do okay. Scroll down here for pace of play because this is the big one. Who's paced up? San Antonio versus the Lakers. San Antonio, where'd you go? Why can't I find San Antonio Spurs? Do we not have a line on San? That's why. No line. So we don't know where that one's going to fall in. You guys that follow NBA more probably have a better shot at letting me know where San Antonio is typically going to fall in here. But later in the day, the news will come out. The line will come out and we'll see it. But San Antonio paced way up. Generally speaking, they're going to be underpriced for that kind of a matchup. If they're going to get about an extra 8 possessions a game, that's a few more points for everybody to go around. Dallas paced up. Again, no line. Indiana, okay, nobody else is really paced up dramatically. But now you look down here at who's paced down. And you can see Utah always plays slow. Golden State paced down. That's interesting. On a back-to-back night, now they're paced down. So you're going to get fewer possessions theoretically. Okay, I can look against them a little bit now. Probably overpriced. Back-to-back night, less likely to perform and going to get fewer possessions on the night, most likely. A little tougher to score in that environment. Price didn't come down like it should have, I promise you, on Golden State. So they could be a fade. They obviously be a tournament fade. Looking at DVP, we might go in here to point guards, and we might look for Dallas. They were paced up. Lakers interesting against San Antonio. San Antonio paced way up. Maybe your point guards come out of here. Looking at shooting guard, Chicago. Didn't see them paced up or implied to score a ton of points. San Antonio paced way up. Charlotte. Where was Charlotte up here? Down low. That was the 106 we picked on. I was joking. I was just kind of funning with that one, but it stuck in my head. These are the things that stick in your head, and you can start to figure out how much do you want to pay attention to these things. Small forward, Portland, Boston. These are matchups you should be looking at. You want to look to see, this is box checking. You want to look and see, is the matchup good? Are they paced up? Are they pointed up? Are they implied to score a lot of points? And is the guy producing that mans that position in that starting lineup? If he checks those boxes, yes, he makes your short list in your player pool. Like I said, I wish I knew the league better. I'd be rattling off names to you because the slate comes together super fast. Power forward, Dallas, Utah, Indiana. I would like to see the paced up teams. I'm seeing some Dallas tonight. Dallas might be in a really, really good spot. Center, also, Dallas is third on the list here. Golden State, finally we get a center. Maybe that's your one-off. Chicago, Dallas, whatever. We're not seeing a lot of these other teams that are really, really paced up, running up in here. So if I look over at San Antonio, I'm seeing point guard and shooting guard. So front court, back court, excuse me. Shows what I know. But hopefully you're getting an idea of how we put these slates together. What you need to do now is you need to come forward. You need to realize that these are the teams you're going to be targeting. These are the positions you're going to be targeting. These are the teams we're targeting for pace in the NBA. These are the teams that we're listening for as the day goes on. Hockey, these are the teams that we're looking for. Colorado, Carolina, maybe some Winnipeg, and maybe Vancouver to be contrarian in tournaments. And hopefully we've learned that running back is a scarce position. We can also come down here in the running back wide receiver type stuff, and we can maybe find some valuable guys down in this range that are, your Tyler Boyd is up here with a Julio Jones, and he's $2,000 less. John Brown, Cooper Kupp if he plays next week, Brandon Cooks, Deshaun Jackson, these guys, Albert Wilson, these guys are producing. Kenny Golladay, producing. And they're relatively cheap on the slate. You can get those middling guys down there. Then you can pay up at the running back spot. And you can grab this positional scarcity and build a high floor. So you get your research pointed in the right direction. You get some tips. You get some knowledge, some experience, some, good old grandfather time type crap. Been around the block a couple times. Not my first rodeo. Whatever cliche you want to use. And I can start pointing you in the right direction in your research. Then you can go run off and research the names, research the players, come back, yo, Chop, what do you think about this? This is what I found. Now, it doesn't do very good if you come to me and say, hey, Todd Gurley or Melvin Gordon, which one should I play? I'm not answering that question in my coaching forums. If you came at me and said Todd Gurley has a matchup with a DVP of this, he's carried the ball this many times, averaging this many passes, targets and in red zone work, and Melvin Gordon's this, he's $2,000 cheaper, and he's got a little bit better matchup today. What do you think? Now I'm going to engage with you. You've done the work. You've identified to me that you're willing to go out and do the research. You're not just looking for a coin flip answer. Hey, Todd Gurley, or hey, how's my lineup look? Looks great, dude. Party on, Wayne. Party on, Garth. But if you come at me with viable questions showing me that you are willing to put in the time, if you're willing to go work for yourself, I am willing to work for you. I am willing to bend over backwards for you to make you a better player. If you're just in there to pick my brain in an A or B situation, this guy or that guy, I'm not going to help much. I'm not wasting my time with that. I have over 2,000 people asking me that on a weekly basis. I'm cutting it down. I'm cutting down my player pool to the best of the best. And the best of the best are the ones that identify themselves as workers, researchers, passionate DFS people that love playing this game and want to get better. I don't care about your experience level. I don't care if you've never done anything, never played DFS before, or you've been playing for 10 years. I don't care. You identify yourself as a worker, I will help you. But you've got to be a VIP. You've got to jump inside DFSArmy.com. We have pricing options for you. I'll run over them really, really quickly. DFS Army Lite, $35 a month. Yeah, use coupon code CHOP, C-H-O-P. Knock, $350 off of that down to $32.50, whatever the hell the price ends up being. Point is, you only get the tools. You don't get the coaching, so I can't help you. For only $10 more a month, knock $450 off that, $41.50, $40, whatever the hell it is, you get the coaching. And if you want to just gamble on a year and you know you're not going to be disappointed, you dive in there for $37.50 a month, period, end of story. Cheapest option we got. Invest in yourself, invest in your own game. NFL, NBA, NHL, PGA, CFB, any of it. Other sports, look at them all. Any of it. I've got coaches. I can tell you where to go if I can't help you myself. But if I can help you myself and you're a hard worker and you're a passionate DFS player and you want to learn the game, I can help. Or I'll die trying. It's that simple. That's why our community is so different than anybody else. Nobody else does that. They give you picks and plays and they tell you to go play the chalk and they turn you loose. I ain't like that. My other coaches are not like that. We don't play DFS that way. Our job is to educate you and turn you into a better player. But you got to take a leap of faith. You got to invest in yourself. You got to come inside and find out why. DFSArmy.com. Use coupon code CHOP, C-H-O-P. Comment section down there in the below. We can talk a little bit there. We can talk a little bit out on Twitter. We're mostly going to be talking inside our coaching forums, inside DFSArmy.com. Come take a look at us. Week 8's getting fired up. NBA, NHL's all on target, all on the slate. We've got some golf. I'm sure we've got other sports. College football, week 9, whatever. They're all coming. Watch as the content rolls out this week and become a member today. See you tomorrow, guys.